And good evening, and welcome to Counsel of the Day with Shanrae. I am Shanrae, and we are on week 3, part 1. Can you believe it? Of Counsel of the Day with Shanrae. This month's this quarter's session, as we can see, let me move it along. Is we're talking about, are you self-centered? Do you have more self-centered tendencies? Are you self-preserved? So before we get started, I always have to go into who I am, where I acquired my degrees, and thus and so forth. Give me a minute because I am multitasking. I am running a little bit behind. I want to thank those that are in on tonight. Thank you so much. Let me turn my volume down. And when you come in, please like and share. This is an open forum, so feel free to ask questions, comment, give scenarios. It is an open forum. Now, hold on, let me post this. I need to post this on a couple of different pages in my group and all of that as well. Because it can get away from me if I do not post. So I want to do that now. Like and share as you come in. Again, this is an open forum. So feel free to comment, to question, to give scenarios. Okay. All right. So again, I am Shanrae. Welcome to Counsel Day with Shanrae. I do these quarterly sessions for 1 month, every other 3 months. So every 3 months, 4 times a year. So we're in August, and the last time I will do it this year of 2021 will be in October, not November, August, September, October, in November. All right, so we're going to go on and get started because the night will be moving along very quickly. And I am, as you can see here, I am a degree counselor. I acquired my degrees from Ashford University. And I want to go on and do my website disclaimer. I'm going to blow this up a little bit so you all can see this as I'm reading it. Says, please be aware that due to the nature of the technology that I'm using, there can be no assurance of confidentiality when using this online service. It should also be noted that due to the changes in policies, that all replies are to be used as advisory and informational only, and will not constitute an official determination. Information provided by myself, other counselors, the counseling services are subject to the limitations of current and available material. But the final responsibility for successfully achieving a goal does rest with you, the individual, or the client. Information online is designed to be helpful, but however, this information can change, and it does change frequently. And it is recommended that you, the individual or the client, will consult another physician, another specialist, and or another religious leader to aid you in your overall behavioral wellness. Now, I am a Christian counselor. So I always give a base scripture for the month. And for this month, we'll be coming from Matthew chapter 7, verses 12. I like to come from the Amplified Bible version. And it says, so then in everything, treat others the same way that you want them to treat you. For this is the essence of the law and the writings of the prophets. In other words, this is the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And I think that that's a law that we all should live by. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And what I've encountered and what I've learned throughout time is that a lot of people, there are a lot of people in life who act like they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do how to do unto others, or they act like they don't know what they're doing wrong to others is wrong until it happens to them. And so that's not this golden rule here. The golden rule is you act accordingly. You do unto others as you would have them do unto you. All right, so this month we are talking about self-centered or self-preservation. Self-centered is like it's all about me mentality. Self-preservation is a self-satisfaction type of mentality. And so I always give definitions, and we're going to give these definitions, and we're going to move it along because 30 minutes does, once again, it does move very quickly. And I want to make room for questions. I would love to make room for comments and scenarios like we did last Thursday. That was amazing. So let's start with self-preservation. Self-preservation is preservation of oneself from destruction or harm. So you are preserving yourself from destruction or from harm. Okay, let's talk about self-centered, the definition of being self-centered. Self-centered is being concerned only with your own desires, your own needs, and your own interests. You don't care about anybody else's desires, needs, or interests at all. Narcissistic. Being narcissistic means having an excessive or an erotic interest in yourself and your physical appearance. So narcissistic, it goes into physical appearance. And we know a lot of people that are like that, unfortunately. And then tonight, I gave a new definition. I added in for tonight's session in connection. I wanted to define the word connection, because that's what we're going to be talking about this evening. So the definition for connection is a relationship in which a person, thing, or an idea is linked or associated with someone else or something else. So that's the definition for connection. This is very important because we're going to be piggybacking off of last week's session. And so we are going to be piggybacking off of that. And let me magnify this here so you all can see this a little bit better. So our key points for tonight is, number one, we're going to be talking about an attachment may indeed be the linchpin of a relationship. Also, when things are going badly in relationships, negative cycles make things worse. When you are scared and insecure that you have less space too, that's what we're going to be talking about. We all have a fundamental conflict or tension between self-preservation and connection with others. We're going to be talking about two competing impulses that we are all dealing with within relationship. And the final one is we're going to be talking about getting to love you, getting to the love that you want. Again, the final thing we're going to be hitting on tonight is getting the love that you want. All right, so let's move this along. Our first, I'm so sorry. Things changed when I was adding it into my documents, my online documents. But this is called it's called The Musings of a Marriage Therapist, and balancing self-preservation and connection within your relationship. And this is by Dr. Paula D. Smith. Dr. Paula D. Smith. All right. So let's move this along. According to Dr. Paula D. Smith, and balancing self-preservation and connections in your relationship, she talks about how attachments may indeed be the linchpin of relationships. So with couples and marriages, marriage therapy, it quickly becomes evident. It says here, quickly becomes evident how securely attached the married couples or the individuals are, and how the relationship operates. It follows from that. So as human beings, our knowledge and our experience of relationships and security of attachments are determined by and largely through our early experiences in life with our parents or our significant caregivers. So we learn how to relate to people from our childhood foundation. That's with everything. Excuse me. So this security is the foundation at all levels of our basic ability to trust ourselves, to trust the world, and also to trust other people. Because without a certain level of trust, a balanced, reciprocal, interdependent relationship is impossible. And this is what Dr. Paula M. Smith was talking about. And she says, thus, partners tend to find each other at similar levels of attachment security or attachment insecurity. All right. So I wanted to define an interdependent relationship because there are a lot of psychological terms here. And so I want to make sure that we're all on one accord and we understand what's happening. All right. So the definition for independent, the relationship is when two people Both strong individuals are involved with each other, but without sacrificing themselves or compromising their values. An interdependent relationship also recognizes that vulnerability leads to emotional intimacy and are both needed for a healthy relationship. So the findings, what an independent relationship means is that you being vulnerable, allowing yourself to be vulnerable with your partner, is healthy. It's healthy. Now it'll turn toxic if the one person or y'all are using your vulnerabilities against each other in a relationship. Then that's when that healthy relationship then turns toxic. All right. So the next thing that Dr. Paula Smith talks about is she's saying with insecurely attached relationships, what I was talking about before, both partners tend to demand changes of each other, both thinking that it should be easy for the other person and feeling hurt when they don't change, or which often manifests as anger. Each person starts to become angry with each other. So I wanted to expound on. Let me open this up a little bit. Let me expound on this because I want to make sure that y'all don't think that I'm just throwing out like phony life or anything that's just impossible. We have to change in life. Everybody, you are supposed to change in life. Our body changes in life. So if our physical body starts to change in life, our mindset must change too. Sometimes our flaws, our character flaws, have to change for the better. They shouldn't grow into deeper messed up or more flawed type of characteristics. So that's not what Dr. Paula Smith is saying here. With insecurely attached relationships, that's not what she means by here. Because insecurely attached relationships, that's a whole nother type of changing. Like, for instance, let me give you a scenario. Hi Cole, how you doing? Hi Tawana. Let me give you an instance with that. Someone is sociable. I'm not talking about flirtatious, two different things. Sociable. If you're sociable, then you get with someone and they're maybe not as sociable as you. And then they start to feel the more attached you two get, they start to feel like, you need to stop being as sociable as you originally was, because you two should be each other's world. And that's it. This is what she's talking about. What Dr. Paula Smith is talking about with the insecurely attached relationships, not with it's healthy relationships, because everybody is required to change for the better. That old saying, when you know better, you do better. That's so I don't want you all to think that she's saying the wrong thing here. She is not. Let me magnify this again. So she said the changes that they're demanding of each other are usually the developmental type of changes, or the fulfillment of meeting needs left from childhood. Those type of changes. That's what she's talking about. Let me go on and define developmental change for you. Developmental change means that this occurs when you recognize a need to make improvements to an existing situation. Okay. So developmental change, and listen, this is a good thing. Don't think that developmental change is not a good thing. Again, we have to grow. We got to develop in life. Anything that is underdeveloped is not. It's underdeveloped. Exactly what it is. It is underdeveloped. So, like I said, if we are required to physically, a doctor will always, with those of us that have, let me open this up. I'm gonna magnify this. Those of us that have children or have pet fur babies, if our babies, they have a growth, their growth is stunted. When we take them to the doctors automatically are going to start looking into different things that will help our baby, our fur baby, our children, help them to start growing. Well, it's the same thing with our mentality, with our mindset. It's the same thing with our brains. It's the same thing with our characters and our personalities. If there are flaws, and I mean severe, because nobody's perfect, but if there are some severe flaws that we are that we are living with. Some people are just a natural born liar. That's a huge character flaw. That's something that nobody should have to get used to, because you will always be considered the person that cries wolf. Okay, if you can't believe what a person is saying, okay, then what's the use of having a relationship with them? You know, no, nobody is perfect. Nobody is perfect. Nobody will ever be perfect. What I'm saying is that when your character flaws, or when there's some things that are going on with you where you can't progress in life, if you find yourself always repelling people rather than drawing them because of them, then we do have to start working on our imperfections and our character flaws. Thank you, Tawanda, because you're right. Nobody is perfect, but we have the opportunity to be purer or better. And it's just up to you whether that's what you want to do or not. Because the bottom line is most people will choose not to change. And that's why there are a lot of people that are islands. Which, old saying, no man is an island, but that's why there are a lot of people that are just by themselves. Because if nobody wants to be around you because you're that flawed, you're that toxic, and you feel like that everybody else is wrong and you're not, then that's the life that you choose. Island, But there are a lot of other people that like to be around other people. So if we gotta grow, we got to grow. We got to grow. That's what it's about. Okay, let me move this. Let me illuminate this, and let's move it along. So, all right. So, Dr. Paula Smith talks about with attached relationships, both partners tend to demand changes of each other, both thinking that it should be easy for the other person. Okay, I already read that. I'm sorry. Making these changes requires lots of mutual understanding, empathy, compassion, and trust, all of which are by definition more difficult for insecurely attached partners. Relationships grounded in insecure attachments typically require significantly more work and often outside professional help. Okay, so I'm going to say that again. It says that relationships that are grounded in insecure attachments typically require significantly more work and often outside professional help. And again, a lot of this goes right back to your foundation. It goes back to your foundation. What did you see growing up? Again, there's no perfect home, there's no perfect relationship or anything like that, but there are some homes that are a little bit more functional than others. And so it just depends on the type of, foundation you have. A lot of people will repeat what they've seen growing up, and they will continue to be like that once again until they realize maybe this is something I need to work on. I'm gonna magnify this because this is something that I taught my grown folk. I have 3 grown adult children, and I always taught them growing up that when they become adults and when they move on and they start living independently, I always taught them, take everything good that you've learned from home, take everything good, and then build from there. Don't take any flaws or anything like that. Don't take any bad habits. Don't take that stuff and bring it into your home. Don't do that. If you have the power and the will to do that, don't do that. When you get on your own and independent, and you start your adult life, take everything good that you possibly can from the foundation, and then build from there. And build from there. And I know that those are kind of some kind of high standards. But hey, it's all right to set high standards. It's okay to do that. It's okay to do that. All right, so I'm going to move on. So Dr. Paula says that when things are going badly in relationships, negative cycles make things worse. Hey, Robert, how are you? Negative cycles make things worse. For example, the more she gets frustrated or afraid, the louder her voice gets. I know that happens with me. So which makes you nervous and quiet, makes the other person nervous or quieter, or sometimes they'll just be the same way as you, and they'll raise their voice. Which makes things more frustrated and louder, and which makes maybe the other person pull back more, and so on from there. So this is known in system terms as deviation, amplifying feedback, or the imago relationship therapy as the reactive survival dance, or the turtle and alligator dynamic. That's what this is known as. Okay, so it says in common terms, this is a vicious cycle. These are patterns of behavior that emerges spontaneously from the interaction between two people. You know, the arguing, the fussing, because the lack of comprehension. The easier it is for these cycles to get created and intensify. Let me say that again. So, in common terms, this is considered a vicious cycle. These are patterns of behavior that emerge spontaneously from the interaction between two people. And in a sad irony, the more important that the person is to you, or you are to each other, the easier it is for these cycles to get created and then to intensify. So the more passionate, the more you care about somebody, a lot of times when something goes wrong, it really, really does intensify into a heated argument, a lack of agreement, and then thus forth. So I want to define deviation, amplifying feedback. A defiancy amplification spiral is also called a deviance amplification. So this is it's also called, it's a media hype phenomenon defined by media critics as a cycle of increasing numbers of reports on a categorical of antisocial behavior or some other undesirable event that's leading to a moral panic. A moral panic. So that's what you know what, and we're actually seeing this right now overseas. This type of behavior, how the Taliban has taken over Iraq. That's this type of feedback that they're talking about. Something that's panic, it's causing a panic and everything, because we can only imagine what those innocent people are experiencing over there, you know, with that type of behavior. So that's kind of an example of what a deviation amplifying type of feedback or relationship or leadership is, like that. All right. Also, I wanted to give the opposite of what I just read, which is positive feedback. And let me open this up. I'm going to magnify this so you can see it a little bit better. Positive feedback is considered a circular causal process, okay, which may start from an initially unstable, someone unstable type of condition, after which the difference between the value of a variable and that condition increases. Okay, that's some psychological terms right there. Positive feedback is the opposite of what I just read. It's when two people can actually maturely have a mature conversation and relationship with each other, and then come to a mutual agreement. That's all. Now, I wanted to talk about the imago relationship therapy, because that was brought up here as well. Imago relationship therapy is a form of relationship and couples therapy that focuses on transforming conflicts into healing and growth through relational connections. So that's what this type of therapy is. It's really a great marital therapy, the imago therapy. I'm actually going to revisit this towards the end of this session this evening. All right, so let's move this along. The next thing says, although each person plays a part, the cycle gets created between both you and, in a certain sense, takes a life of its own beyond either one of you. So if you're constantly having the same conflict over and over and over again in your relationship, it starts to just become take on a life of its own, and it's just like it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. But what Dr. Paula Smith is talking about, she's saying that these cycles can be especially difficult to understand from the inside. The two people, other people looking from the inside out, saying, "Oh, that's an easy resolve." But what is that old saying? Okay, well then you live with it then. You know how you used to hear the older people say, all right, if it's that simple, then why don't you just live with it? Okay. And that's what Dr. Paula Smith was saying here. So out of frustration, partners often end up either blaming or criticizing each other when something is magnified or a situation is just reoccurring. So withdrawing, or they're withdrawn to silence, both of which makes everything much worse. So either if you recluse and you withdraw into silence, or you keep having the same arguments, it's still just, it's not good. It's not healthy. It's toxic. So over time, these patterns lead to feelings of helplessness and hopelessness. So getting an outside perspective can help you understand how this cycle works. And what they mean by that is maybe going to counseling. Go to counseling sessions like that. It does give you a different type of perspective. And what the dynamics are and how to move from a vicious cycle into a virtuous cycle. So more like the good feelings that you had at the beginning of your relationship. All right. So Dr. Smith also, she talks about empathy. And a lot of times the longer the relationship is, the harder it is to have empathy for your partner, especially if you're considered a repeat offender. Okay, so empathy and being able to see things from your partner's perspective are the essentials of a healthy relationship. Again, and I'm going to break this down, but that really does, it takes work, and it does take outside help to help you see something from someone else's perspective. Or, okay, so if you have kids, empathy is also the key to your children's emotional health and lifelong well-being. In the end, this is what really makes the difference in all relationships, whether it's your spouse, significant other, children, parents, sisters, whatever, brothers, like that. So empathy flows and it creates mental health and mental well-being. So being able to empathize and see things from the other person's perspective, is dependent on a foundation of secure attachment. And these are all long-term findings here. This is not something that she just came up with, Dr. Smith. The less securely attached you are, the less safe, the less secure and trusting that you will feel with your partner. So if you are fearful, fearful, it's hard to trust somebody. It's hard to be vulnerable with them too. So easy to feel persecuted and to either blame your partner or retreat into various forms of withdrawal. So number one, Dr. Smith was talking about when you're scared and insecure, you have less space to, number one, sit with and understand your own feelings. It's hard to even understand your own feelings when you're frustrated. Number two, it's hard to be able to articulate your own feelings to other people when you're frustrated and it's like an ongoing thing. And, this is factual. Number three, it's hard to be open with your partner's feelings, or be open to your partner's feelings and perceptions, especially to the extent that they are different from your own. So it's really hard when you're experiencing, I'm going to magnify this a little bit. When you have constantly dealt with the same situation over and over and over again, and when you even start to sit down, you want to sit down and try to come to some terms with a therapist, it really is hard to initially even want to be open to hear what your partner, or your child or your family member or your friend, whoever you care for, it's hard for you to hear their perspective of why you feel they keep, in layman's terms, betraying your trust. That's basically what it's about. Betraying, so she says, Dr. Smith says, and I'm gonna bring this back down so y'all can see what she's saying, excuse me. Dr. Smith says that with the force of our biological imperatives, or how we grew up in our perspectives, fear prioritizes threat detections as a means of self-preservation. So in other words, we are programmed to look for danger. Yes, we are. We are programmed to look out for danger. So under conditions of stress and fear, we tend to focus more so on the negative, particularly, the negative in our partners. And you're right, when you are constantly dealing with a repeat offender, or you're the repeat offender, it is hard for someone to say that they just want to, they're like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. You tell me you haven't grown yet. You haven't grown. You're still doing this. I mean, you're still doing this years later. It's hard. But she says, again, and a lot of it has to do with how we were raised, how we were brought up with things like this. So we tend to focus more on the negative than the positive. We all do. We all do. I am a degree counselor. I'm a magnify this. I'm a degree counselor, but I'm human first. We are. These are a lot of the things that I've experienced, and I've also done in my own relationships. And I'm a counselor. So it's just a natural tendency. But becoming vulnerable is something that we have to learn. We have to learn to, even if we don't get the outcome that we expect. Okay, so this is it, and whatever, then you have to decide to move on to next steps from there. It says this feeds the negative cycles. So fear also narrows our perception so that we tend to stereotype the aspects of our partners. We're stereotyping what we're expecting them to do, so that we don't understand or don't like what they're doing, which are often the same thing, So let's move on. Dr. Let me see perspective. Move this along. Okay, so Dr. Smith says that against the forces by expanding our perceptions. So she says that empathy and perspective taking work against these forces by expanding our perceptions. Hi, Melissa. And giving us a fuller, more realistic, multidimensional view of our partners and their connectiveness to us. So associated with this is an important skill of being able to hold multiple values and points of view simultaneously, even when these values and perspectives may be in conflict with each other. So what Dr. Smith was saying here is basically we need to eat the meat, chew the meat, and spit out the bones. Everybody, not one person is not all bad. So if we can kind of look, let's show some balance in our relationships. Okay. Let's look at the good that they bring to the relationship, along with we have to keep retrain our brains. Okay, they're not always bad. So we have to start kind of training ourselves to look at the good things that they bring to your relationship. Not just the bad. That's what she's saying. Okay, so Dr. Smith says that we all have a fundamental conflict or tension between self-preservation and connection with other people. I'm gonna pause here. I was a family member of ours just passed about 10 days ago. About 10 days back, 14 days back. We were at the funeral last weekend, not this past weekend. And the reverend who brought the sermon, he talked about life, the two sides of life, of your life. And he talked about the good and the bad. And I loved it. He said, I don't care. The best person out there still has a negative side to them. But what are you going to do? Are you just going to discard them? Are you just going to throw them away? Are you just going to turn your back? Are you just going to not be bothered? Because they like, you have two sides too. you have some flaws as well. And so he talked about life, the two sides of it. He said there's two sides to everyone's life, the good and the bad. And that's basically, and which is psychological findings here, therapeutic findings here. Again, we all have both good and bad. Everybody has to work on something. Nobody is perfect. We all got to work on something with us. Okay. So she was talking about, this is another aspect of the fear, again, looking at it from a biological evolutional perspective. Okay, there are two critical aspects to continuing the human species. In order to reproduce, we must both, one, preserve ourselves as individuals, two, connect with others in order to conceive and nurture our young. So she hit a little bit on that too, the two sides of us, of in our life. Of course, she said, of course, that this is, let me move this along. And I'm going to magnify this so you can see a little bit more of what she's saying. Dr. Smith says, of course, this is a very stripped down view of what of her findings, because she's a relationship therapist. She said, but in many ways, the feelings and experiences that we have in relationships flows from these two basic drives. Number one, connection, which means, come here, connection, and protection, which means get away. I'm going to magnify this so you can see me a little bit better. Dr. Paula Smith, who is a relationship therapist, she said that we all, as people, have these two basic drives, which we do. Number one, connection. We want to connect with people, which means come here, be with me, you know what? And then protection, that protection mode, self-preservation mode. Get away from me. I don't want to, So then she says two competing impulses that we are all dealing with in relationships. It's just learning how to deal with them outside of being toxic, understanding this. Okay, so she goes into saying that we want to merge together and feel the bliss of unbounded connections, warmth. And let me open this up so you can see what she's saying. You want to feel warmth and you want to feel security. But on the other hand, we want to be independent and we want to make our own choices and have our own ideas and explore and avoid. We all want to avoid being hurt. All right. So language and consciousness add symbolic reasonings, which extends threat beyond the realm of the physical all the way to the abstraction of a single phrase or gesture. Consider the phrases. Listen, I didn't say this. This is her findings. If y'all could see it, I didn't do this. This is her findings. But I'm going to say that this is what she said. Let's consider these phrases. F you. Y'all know what that means. F you. When you upset, you say to somebody, F you. Or you say, I'm leaving you. Even these printed words on the page here, or on here in this, even the printed words can make your heart beat faster. It's making some adrenaline pump in you. Those some harsh words. When you in a heated discussion and somebody say F you, and then they say I'm leaving you. All right, so that's because that they signal threats of aggression. These words signal threats of aggression and abandonment, if not both. So the tension between self-preservation and connection is captured in popular titles such as "I don't need to give." Do I need to give up on me? And which means sacrifice my self-preservation to be loved by you, which means in order to have connection. And that's what we all, I'm going to say that again. Let me magnify this. The whole bottom line to this, these two things here, connection and self-preservation, is number one, do I need to give up on me? Which is us jeopardizing our self-preservation in order to be loved by you, which is in order to have a connection with somebody. That's the whole basics of everything. And so you have to, as a person, we have to make a choice and decide what's more important to us. What can I live with? And it doesn't mean that you're right, wrong, or indifferent. We all know our tolerant levels. What can I live with? What should I live with? We had such a great response last Thursday, and it was all boiled down to this right here, with certain things, different people that was sharing things on here with us. How should I disconnect or should I keep it going? And that's what life is about altogether. We should know our tolerant levels. So the subtlety of self-preservation can extend all the way to fears of losing or not having influence, agency, identity, or integrity. So when relationships start to deteriorate, stress can easily shift the focus to feeling threatened, and protection and the connection can start to get buried. Finding and maintaining the connection protection balance is indeed one of the central ongoing challenges in every relationship. Not just in every relationship. I don't care if it's mama, the parents and children, siblings. I'm telling you, it is what it is. That's the whole basis of everything. But doctors, and these are the Imago relationship therapists. They're the ones who developed this theory. Doctors Hendricks and doctors Hunt, excuse me, Dr. Hunt. They talk about getting the love that you want out of relationships, and it says a form of relationship and couples therapy that focuses on transforming conflict into healing and growth through relational connections. They have, I love their teachings and their findings. It's really awesome. Number one, again, getting the love that you want out of your relationships. Again, these are the therapists who found this back in 1989. So this is a long-term type of therapy. They talk about getting the love that you want. Number one, it says there is frequently a connection between frustrations in adult relationships and their early childhood experience, which everything is based on your foundation. Like I said, I'm going to keep saying that. Childhood feelings of abandonment, suppression, or neglect will often arise in a marriage or committed relationship. And when such core issues, these are considered core issues, when such core issues repeatedly come up with a partner, they can overshadow all that is good in a relationship, which it can, and leave one to wonder whether he or she has chosen the right mate. Okay, and so that is the core of everything. But through the Imago relationship therapy, couples can understand each other's feelings and their childhood wounds more and become more empathetic, allowing them to heal themselves and to heal their relationships and to move toward a more conscious relationship. Move towards a more conscious relationship. They also illustrated in the New York Times best-selling book, Getting the Love That You Want, which is a guide for couples. Learning and teaching the Imago dialogue allows couples to move from blaming each other and reacting to each other to understanding and empathy so that they can create a deeper and loving connection with each other. So if y'all didn't, if nothing else stuck with you, I do want you all to try to look into this book here, and I'm going to magnify this so you can see it a little bit better. Getting the Love That You Want. And this is by the doctors and founders of this couples therapy, the Imago relationship therapy, Doctors Hendricks and Dr. Hunt. They have transformed couples' lives with this therapy. If you can look into this, contact them or something. If you just read their book, it'll help you kind of understand yourself, maybe even your relationship, your partner a little bit better. I love their therapy. And it's awesome. I may actually come back and just do a whole session, a whole quarter of teaching directly this, getting the love that you want from the Imago relationship therapy. If you don't remember anything else that I talked about on the session tonight, I hope that this at least stuck with you. getting the love that you want, and it gives you the different steps and strategies for both, not just one, because nothing will ever, let me magnify, no relationship will ever come to full bloom if it's only one person that's working it. It takes two. It takes two. If it's it takes two. If it's you're a married couple, if you're just a couple, even in parent children relationships and siblings, it takes a joint effort, not just one. That's the only way to getting. And this is not just specific for couples. Again, this book, Getting the Love That You Want, is for any type of relationship. All right, so I'm going to leave you all with a quote on tonight. Oh, before that, hold on. And I want to again. I'm going to reuse these 12 helpful ways to stop being self-centered. Actually, I'm just going to talk about 6 of them tonight, and I'm going to bring the other 6 on Thursday night. Number 1, focus on listening instead of talking. Put yourself in someone else's shoes. Use fewer I and me statements. Learn how to compromise. Share the spotlight, and let someone else be in charge if you can. That's if you can. Okay. And I want to leave you with a quote. This quote is by Dr. Hal Ackerman. It says, "A man is nothing more than the things that he does to get what he wants." I'm going to say that again. A man is nothing more than the things that he does to get what he wants. He or she. A man or a woman is nothing more than the things that they do to get what they want. So I'm going to leave you with this. If you don't want to be characterized as a snake, then don't act like a snake. Don't sneakily slither around, biting people on the heels, being poisonous or anything like that. If you want to be characterized as a dove or something, or characterized, then you have to walk in it. I'm not saying perfection. Nobody's perfect. But the good should always outweigh the bad. Your bad should never outweigh the good. Okay, so I'm going again with this quote. Let me magnify it one more time. I love this quote by Mr. Hal Ackerman. He says that a man, I'm going to say a woman or a person, is nothing more than the things that they do to get what they want. This is a terrific quote. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to move this along. These are my theory website references for those fellow counselors or therapists. If you want to see my findings and teachings, you can look here and you can find them right there. I want to thank you all for participating in the Counsel of the Day with Shanrae, August 2021. I will see you all on Thursday evening, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we're going to do part 2 of this. And again, it's self-centered or self-preserved. This week's subtopic is, what would you do in this situation? What would you do? What would you do in this situation? Okay, if you want to go back and see the first 2 weeks of this or any of my other sessions, feel free to go to my YouTube channel at Shanrae Price and watch whichever ones that you want to watch. Feel free to subscribe, like, and share. Also, I am a professional one-on-one counseling, so if you are interested in professional one-on-one counseling services, feel free to contact me via Facebook Messenger or at my Shanrae Price at Gmail email. I am a lifestyle strategist, and my aim is to aid you in reaching your life's goals and your life's dreams. Now, I have to do this, but it's up to you. If you feel that this teaching has helped you in a positive way or has blessed your life, please feel free to donate a coffee blessing to my Cash App at $Shanrae Price. And this has been my Counsel of the Day with Shanrae. This has been it for tonight. We're going to do part 2 on Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time sharp. I hope that you all enjoyed it. Again, I'm going to leave you one more time with if you didn't get anything else out of it tonight, go to find the book. It says how to get the love that you want in a relationship. Let me make sure I'm saying this right. Getting the love that you want in a relationship. It's a book called Getting the Love That You Want by therapists Dr. Hendricks and Dr. Hunt. Okay, and this is an awesome strategy that works for all relationships, not just marital, but for all. All right. See you Thursday night. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Good night.